What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today it's FAQ'n Friday number 10! Yeah, it's number 10. I can't believe we're at 10 already. That's awesome. Over 1,200 subs, up 200 from last week's FAQ'n Friday. You guys are awesome, seriously, thank you so much. I'm having so much fun doing this stuff. I'm in a much better mood today than I was last week, so let's have some fun with this. First off, I want to mention the reverb store that I mentioned last week. I haven't gotten around to it yet, so I apologize. Been real busy, been kind of lazy. I've been pumping out a video every day this week, and that's kind of been taking up some of my time, so I haven't gotten around to posting a lot of the gear that I want to put up for sale. However, I did get some stuff up on the local Facebook pages. I'm going to move that stuff over to Reverb tomorrow morning. So I will put the link in the video down here, I promise. You guys can see all the stuff that I'm gonna be posting here in the near future. I promise there's gonna be a lot. Second thing, I did my very first live stream last night. I felt it was a success. I had a lot of fun. I had 37 of you guys watching, asking me questions the whole time. We had a really good time, unboxing pedals, stuff like that. If you guys think I should make that like a weekly thing, let me know. I really enjoyed it, but I don't want to overdo it if it's not really something you guys are interested in. But again, I really enjoy connecting with you guys, and that's what this channel is about, is talking to you guys about gear, demoing gear, and stuff like that. That's point number 2. Should I do a weekly live stream with you guys on like a Monday night or a Wednesday night? Let me know. If not, that's fine too. Point number 3, I have started an Amazon affiliates account just to try and raise some extra money for the page. I don't expect it to be much, if anything at all, but I basically have just put some links down in the description of the picks I use, the straps I use, and the strings that I use. And when we demo some stuff that you can get on Amazon, like cheap pedals and stuff like that, I'll put links to those down below too. If you guys click those links and buy stuff from there, I get a little kickback from it. It's like 1%, it's like nothing, but still, anything helps so I can reinvest in the channel and better gear for you guys. Anyways, with all that crap being said, let's get to your questions. Question number 1 comes from LASV155. Kyle, what bass guitar and bass amp effects would you recommend that would complement an EVH3 stealth guitar sound? Any suggestions, tips, tricks learned in your experience with bass playing, sound, and recording? I personally have not done a whole lot with bass as far as my like messing around with my tones and stuff like that, but I've always loved the sound of a jazz bass. I recorded the bass on my 2 of my earlier bands' EPs, and I did it with the Squier jazz bass and a Sans amp. And guess what? I think they sounded awesome. I even got compliments on the bass tone on the record. It was literally just the Squier vintage modified jazz bass into the Sans amp, into the console. That was it. And honestly, what I do now, if I'm ever making demos, I'm not real big into recording, guys, so you don't have to take my word as gospel. Please don't by any means, because I don't really know what I'm doing. There is a plugin, and I believe it's the TSV BOD plugin, which is basically just a virtual Sans amp, and it sounds awesome. And that's all I use now. I plug my bass directly into my Scarlett interface, and I use that BOD plugin and dial it like I would dial a Sans amp, and it sounds great. I am going to start doing some short mixed demos for certain amps in the near future. It depends on which ones. I think it's whatever amps are gonna be a big deal. But you guys will hear that exact thing on my recordings. As far as complementing an EVH 5153, that's all in the mix, man. I tend to like jazz basses because they're a little brighter and spankier. As Cole Keller Studio would say, they have the dangle dangle. He's got an awesome video on metal guitar or metal bass tones and how to record them. And I like what he does because they're very in line with what I like to hear as far as bass. So I would say go check that out, take his word for it, because he's gonna be able to help you a lot better than I am. But that's what I use, jazz bass, a Sans amp, or Sans amp plug-in, direct in, that's it. Moxie the Pirate, what's your favorite tunings and why? My favorite tuning is E standard, honestly. I just love the brightness, the tightness of the strings, the snap, the immediacy of everything, the clarity of everything. That's why I play in E standard. For the longest time, I played in drop C because that was all I knew. I was a hardcore kid back in 2009, 2010. I didn't know anything else. Everybody was tuned to drop C. That's what I tuned to. It was awesome. I finally started tuning up 6 or 7 years ago when I did my first, I did a hardcore band that was kind of like a Terror Judge combination, and I tuned up to E standard, and ever since then, I haven't wanted to go back to anything else. So E standard is my favorite tuning just because I love really tight percussive tones that are clear, and E standard just, does that the best in my opinion. Andrew Ward says, hey bro, question. I just watched a video talking about the potential of a EVH 5150 Retro to be released in the future. Just wanted to get your take on this, and if it happens, what are some features you'd like to see? Or, of all the amps in the 5150 world, what voicing are you hoping for? Thanks, Andrew. I know the video you're talking about. I saw it this morning too. It was Louis Torres's video. I'm pretty sure, and this is no knock on Louis, I'm pretty sure that was 100% speculation and there's nothing behind what he said as far as the actual details of the amp are. That post by Wolfgang Van Halen, that was actually kind of everywhere. That was in all the forums that I frequent. That was in all the pages that I frequent. It was a pretty hot piece of gear gossip for a little bit when he posted that and somebody noticed that there was a goofy looking 5150 in the background. I also looked at the post. He never confirmed that it was a new 5150 amp. He was just kind of being sly with some people, but never actually said, yeah, there's a new 5150 coming. Can we expect a new 5150 with the way that EVH pumps out gear? Yeah, I absolutely imagine that there's going to be a new 5150 coming out soon. I actually know a 5150 endorsed artist, and they told me that they can't tell me anything, which essentially is them saying something's coming, but I can't say anything about it. More than likely, we'll see a new 5150 here in the future. The designs that they've released, I really would like to hear an actual take on Eddie's like Soldano tones that he had for a short little bit before he did the actual PV 5150 with PV. There's so many amps that go after the Brown sound, the original Brown sound with Eddie's cranked plexi and the Variac and all that crap. There's, you know, that's pretty much what the entire modded Marshall market is based around. So I don't necessarily want to see another one of those from EVH, although it would be cool. I wouldn't be mad about it. You guys know I love my modded Marshall tones, but I would like to see something based on his Soldano type tones. And now guys, you're gonna say, well, an EVH is just a copy of a Soldano, or the 5150 is a copy of Soldano. No, it's not. It has Soldano DNA in it. From what Dave Friedman said, it's mostly in the power section. It's not like a dual rectifier where they literally just took the exact preamp of a Soldano SLO 100 and dropped it in their own amp and gave it a different power section. And the 5150 is very much its own thing. It took some cues from Soldano for sure, but it's not a Soldano clone. So I would like to see an actual Soldano SLO 100 type tone come from EVH, not the super compressed red channel gained out stuff. That stuff's cool, but how many amps do we have that? A ton. We've got 3 full-size EVHs, we've got 3 50-watt EVHs, we've got 3 lunchbox EVHs, not to mention the 2 PV amps, not to mention the number of copies. I mean, we've got that, guys, we've got it. Let's do something different. That's what I would like to see. So that's my take on that whole situation. Hopefully we will see it sometime this year, because you know me, I'm a huge EVH 5150 fan. I'll probably put it on this channel as soon as it comes out. Next question, Mentally Fouled, wanted to get your take on the new GHS strings you got. I always wanted to try them, but always stick with my tried and true D'Addario. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for the question, man. Actually, oh, there's a reply here. Hold on. Frailty Live says, yeah, also what gauges are you using for different tunings? Okay, so I haven't said this on the channel yet, but my band through my record label, Upstate Records and Blood Blast Distribution, just recently got endorsed with GHS strings. I have never really used GHS strings, so I said, sure, I'll try them out. I got a few packs. I gotta say they're great. I have no issues with any of the guitars that I've strung up with them. I've typically always loved D'Addario strings because they're bright and they tend to stay bright longer. Ernie balls have a weird feeling and sound to them that I just never liked. They're just not for me. You guys know I like my tones bright. The GHS, it seems not quite as bright as the D'Addario, but they sound very similar. They feel very similar. They're lasting, no problems, haven't broken one yet, and they don't seem to be dulling out quickly. So yeah, the GHS guitar boomers, the 11 to 50 are the ones that I've been using for standard tuning. If I tune down like D standard or drop C, I will usually do like a 10 to 56 or something like that. I don't use my top strings all that often, and I don't like the wound 4th string, so that's usually the set I have to get in order to get the tension that I want on the top strings. So yeah, standard would be 11 to 50. Drop C or D standard would be like 11 to 56. If it's on a longer scale guitar, like at 25.5, I can probably get away with 11 to 54, but it tends to get a little loose at that point. So yeah, the GHS strings have been great so far. No complaints on that end. Having an endorsement of any kind to me is still surreal. I've been a musician, if you want to call it that, for, you know, 15 years, 20 years, and I've never had anything like that happen. So to be endorsed by a major string company and I actually dig their product, that's pretty damn cool. Next question, Zaid Acevedo. Sorry if I butchered that, bro. Does it feel like the Badlander is just a dual rec that Mesa just put their own EQ inside of, or does it feel like a completely new amp? And also, what is your view on the Grid Slammer versus Tube Screamer? The Badlander has Rectifier DNA in it for sure, because if you guys go back and watch my multi-watt versus Badlander video on my channel, I got them to sound really close. Now, the Badlander has a lot more usable sweep in the EQ section, so you can get a lot more variance in the EQ and how you want to dial it out of the Badlander than you can with the dual rectifier. The dual rectifier has an active tone stack, so it was kind of hard to dial everything and make it all cohesive, because when you dial the treble, it affects the mids, affects the lows, and so on and so forth. So you got to play with it in order to get some good settings. That being said, the dual rectifier definitely has that bigger low end. It's got that wall of sound thing going on. It can get a little buzzy on the top end. It's not the clearest amp out there. My recent multi-watt that I've had, I've loved, but all the other ones that I've had have not been so great for me. The Badlander kind of cured all that. The crunch channel on that thing takes a boost amazing. It can get very saturated, especially with the right boost and pickups. It's got a lot of low end. It's just not that huge wall of sound low end. It's a very punchy, immediate low end, which you guys know I love. And there's a lot more clarity, especially on the crunch channel. On the crush channel, it doesn't take a boost as well, but it gets very saturated, so balancing it and finding the right amount of gain and the right boost that works well with the circuit is a little trickier, but you absolutely can do it, and I've gotten great tones out of the crush channel as well. Again, more clarity, more bass. There's not as much gain on tap on the Badlander, but unless you're like trying to dial it to ridiculous levels, you're gonna be more than fine, trust me. There's a lot on tap, especially on the crush channel. I think I have it dialed just above noon, which isn't, that's about where I dial it on my rectifier too, so maybe a little bit more. I don't know. As far as the Grid Slammer versus the TS9, I can't seem to find any info. Some people said that the Grid Slammer is just a TS9 with a different clipping circuit in it, or a different style of clipping diode in it. I don't know. All I know is the Grid Slammer sounds fuller. It has a little bit more clarity, and it adds more saturation. It adds more clipping to the signal, even with the gain all the way off. So it tends to sound fuller and a little bit more saturated. So it works great with some amps it does not work great with. I have it because the amps that it works great with, it sounds phenomenal with. The amps it doesn't work very well with, oh well, I've got my other boosts that can cover that. But if you're just looking for one, the TS9 kind of works well with everything, whereas I feel the Grid Slammer is a little bit more picky. So that's my take on it. Eddie Fender 100, my buddy Nick says, favorite recording guitar. I showed it in my gear tour video. My favorite recording guitar is my Gibson Les Paul Studio Faded. It's super bright, resonant, snappy, stays in tune great. It's got the Duncan Alpha Omega pickups in it. Those are very clear, very bright, very punchy. So the combination of those pickups and the guitar with how loud and resonant and clear it is, man, that thing sounds great. I've got 2 Les Paul Customs, I've got Les Paul Standards, Traditionals, I've got my Explorers, I've got all sorts of really cool guitars. And I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, I've got a lot of high dollar stuff to choose from, and I choose a Faded Studio that I paid 400 bucks for to do my guitar tracks because it just sounds that good, man. Sometimes more money does not equal more tone, guys, I gotta say that. The Faded Gibsons are a great value. They're very resonant because the finish is thin. Great guitars, I love mine. I have 2 of them, both great. Fat Tony 6 String said, if you had to pick one pickup for metal and a mahogany single cut, which one would it be, and do you prefer the Omega over the Voodoo? That's a really good question, man. I would have to play them back to back in a similar guitar, honestly. The Voodoo has been awesome so far, which if you guys haven't seen a couple of my recent videos, I've got a Voodoo Custom Pickups Alchemist in the bridge of my 91 Explorer, and I've been using it for a couple videos. That thing sounds really good. The only amp I haven't liked it through is the Invective, but I don't like the Invective, so that's not a fault of the pickup. The Omega is just super clear, super tight. It's like surgical, very punchy. I can't pick a winner right now because I haven't compared them directly. I can say that they are both great pickups, and if you like modern Seymour Duncan style tones, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Alchemist was based around a couple Seymour Duncan pickups. I could see that for sure with the way it sounds. You wouldn't be disappointed with either. I think they're both great. So that's my answer. Until I can directly compare them, I can't give you a straight answer, but they're both winners in my book. So Red Com says, FAQ. Thanks, man. All right, guys. That's it. That is all I got for today. That was plenty of questions. I had really fun answering those. I'm talking a lot. I don't know why. I'm just really happy to be here. So again, Drop your questions in the comments below so I can answer them next week. I really appreciate it when you guys leave me questions. I love talking to you guys. Again, Reverb store link will be up in my upcoming videos, and I'll go back and put it in some of the other videos. Amazon affiliate links are now live in all of my videos from the last week. I'm gonna try and go back and update all of them. And lastly, let me know on the live stream thing. Do you guys wanna see me live stream once a week, once every 2 weeks? Not at all. Do you guys want me to shut the hell up? Tell me in the comments. That way I can better serve you guys, and we can all have a little bit more fun on this channel. But anyways, Kyle here again. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you guys next time.